O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Miles an hour, that's a Category 4 hurricane. 3 deaths are reported in Florida after more than 24 were killed in the Caribbean. This
Your home for everything Heat.
They stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink. The Heat are going to the NBA Finals.
Panthers.
The Florida Panthers are headed to the Stanley Cup Finals.
The Big O Radio Show goes deep on playoff coverage.
We don't care what the rest of the world is saying. We don't care who's criticizing who. You got to line up between these 4 lines, and let's figure this out.
The Big O Radio Show. The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Friday, folks. Another rough evening for us here. First the Heat, and now our Florida Panthers go down 3-1. Yeah. It's a rough one. First of all, give me a heads up here. Make sure audio is good before I start going off anywhere in any direction here on a beautiful Saturday night. Thank you for joining us, and appreciate all of you out there, as always, for supporting the platform. There was a chance, right? It was getting there. Okay. All right. I got a thumbs up there. All right. Good stuff. Damn, they came back 3-2, and you just kind of, Barkov got that second goal, and Montour got the first one. You go down 3-0, and it's pretty depressing, at that point. And they fought back, at least. I give them credit. They fought back. Listen, they're playing with house money. You know what I'm saying? I can't get mad at the Heat. I can't get mad at the Panthers. I I can get frustrated a little bit here, but none of us expected the Heat to be in the NBA Finals or the Panthers to be here. Okay, they're not better than any of the teams are playing. They're not really supposed to win. We need some breaks, and they just didn't happen, you know? And look, early on, I got to tell you something. That first goal by Bob, I get it. It's a breakaway, but dude, you got to stone them. There's time that there's times there where the goalie has to say, ain't happening here, dude, not on my watch. And that's why you win. It can't always be on the guys in front of you. And I get it. There was a switch and they got caught on it, and it was a beautiful pass, and it was a one-on-one. But Bob, you got to step up, dude. You know, and he got on a roll during these playoffs, and now it's kind of gone awry a little bit now. And he's not as sharp, and the Panthers aren't as good because they're not. And they try to play physical, and these people are more physical. And then also Kachuk is also banged up. So, you know, and that's your horse. That's the guy that's the ultimate difference maker. It sucks, but again, I don't want you to lose sight that this is 4 straight years now that they make the playoffs. And in the last couple of years, they've gone deeper into the playoffs. They now know what they need to do to get deeper into the playoffs. So now they can build their team and continue and hopefully play better and more consistent throughout next year so they can have a better record and not just barely sneak in and then have the toughest draw in order. Think about the draw that they have in order to win the goddamn Stanley Cup. You know, they had to play all the top teams because they're at the bottom of it. It's like crazy. And they almost made it. The fact that they're here, by the way, they had never won a Stanley Cup game. Now they won a Stanley Cup game. Progress has been made. They didn't give up and fold at 3-0. They fought back, made it 3-2. Are they perfect? No. Do they commit some mistakes? Yes. I get it. Is Bob really, outstanding? No, he's not. It's been a terrible contract. That's the only contract. No, actually, I shouldn't say that, right? Because I should say Kyle Lowry's still a terrible contract because at least there have been moments where Bob has seriously carried you. But it's a terrible contract. Just like the Kyle Lowry one. I don't know how we want to measure them, and to get to this point, it's impressive as hell. It's hard for me to really get mad or anything like, oh, you guys choked or you guys are, whatever. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I don't think Paul Maurice can do any more. I don't think these guys can do any more. Las Vegas is just better. Period. That's what I see. They're better. They're more talented. They're deeper. They're more physical. And, they're winning. Is it over at 3-1? Of course not. I get it. Mathematically, it's not. But I don't see the Heat coming back from 3-1, and I don't see these Panthers coming back from 3-1. I think these teams are limping at this point now. And then you're limping against an inferior team. Jimmy and Kachuk now are pretty much laboring through the finals. And, the Panthers aren't good enough as it is, and they need Kachuk to, and forget about the Heat. The Heat, even with Jimmy at his best, they're not good enough. And without him, it's a miracle you're going to need in order to win, man. It's tough, man. Tough. I commend them. I am really, really proud of the Panthers this season. Incredibly proud. They made so many changes and to overcome everything and finally get healthy because they weren't healthy throughout the whole year. That was another thing that set back the Panthers too. So hopefully you get a healthy Panthers team next year. You get the same system coming back because they're not going to change Paul Maurice. All right. So, and then you have cap space now. Okay. You're going to get some cap space. Remember that. So now you're going to be able to go out to, free agency. Plus, you got to the finals. So you're no state tax. It's a fantastic organization. Vinny Viola can spend. He does everything in a first-class fashion. And so you're going to have players that are going to want to come here to try to help win a cup and help Kachuk and other guys, get there. The future for the Panthers is incredibly bright. So in your frustrations tonight, which I know we're all frustrated and all that good stuff, and we're all in our feelings right now because they're down 3-1 and the Cinderella shoe seems to be falling off. I get all of that, but let's not point fingers and take it out on the organization. They did a great job this year. They have accomplished a ton. It's almost as good as winning the championship, just like the Miami Heat. It's almost as winning because at least on the Heat side, I don't think another head coach gets this team to the finals. I don't think it exists. I don't think Popovich gets them to this title. I don't think so at all. So to me, I am super impressed with everything that's gone on, even through the frustrations of the last couple of nights, knowing that our local teams are probably done now because it's going to be near impossible for these limping teams right now to overcome better talent and overcome a 3-1 deficit, But in all that frustration, don't lose sight of the big picture. That it's incredibly awesome. On the Heat side, Riley has, as I've said for a while now, he's got to restructure this team and go get Jimmy another star because you've used up 4 of his years. I don't know what else he has left. But if you want to extend it, you better get somebody that can help him carry the load and get a player that excels in the 3-point area too. Because Jimmy's in a 2-point player in a 3-point world. That doesn't work, but he can be that other star with another guy that can really score. That's why Lillard may be the best guy available. As much as the Lillard window is also very short, just like what's left with Jimmy. So you're not going to tie yourself to a long contract, but that would be the guy that has the guts to actually do it. Let me do a little roll call here. Duke Tomlinson, thank you, sir. You are first in. Don't forget, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. You can send your comments and questions there at Cash Big O Show. And, of course, the Super Chats are always available here. Timothy Eason is here in the house. No doubt, as always. Gus 1388. Steven Gonzalez, stupid mistakes cost you games, and that's exactly what they did. Yeah, but remember, they were kind of that team all year that they made their share of mistakes. Screw the golden showers. I don't know what that means. Series over for Panthers, yeah. Both Heat and Panthers were amazing runs at the end of the day. Would have been dope for one of them to be champs. I agree, Aaron. Would have been really cool. Notice this. Notice this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? UM basketball. FAU. Looks like the Panthers. Looks like the Miami Heat. They all made the Final Four in their respective sports and could not finish the job. Some of them even made it to the championship game, and it looks like they're not winning the championship. Nova Southeastern made it to the Final Four and then made it to their final and won the championship. Shows you how hard it is to win it. Inter Miami, who lost today to New England, got their asses kicked. Boy, that team is a disaster. Thank God for Messi and Busquets, but they're going to need help because that is, boy, that team is just a mess. No discipline. But anyway, somehow or another, these guys are in the Final Four of U.S. Open Cup. Okay, so they're the other team now in South Florida to make the Final Four in their competition. So will Inter Miami find a way to do what only Nova Southeastern Sharks have been able to do in South Florida? They're the only team that made their Final Four and actually moved on to win the title overall. So we'll see if Inter can join them by winning the U.S. Open Cup. It's amazing. They are a disaster in the MLS, but in the U.S. Open Cup, they're 2 wins away from winning the U.S. Now, a lot of MLS teams play their backups and all that, so whatever. And they don't take the U.S. Open Cup as serious. But pretty crazy, huh? That Nova Southeastern is the only one that's come away with a title by making the Final Four here in South Florida. Yeah, our main guy has hurt his. Yeah. Kachuk is hurt, man. You can tell. Man of 1,005 holds is in. Alex Palenzuela is in. Zach Underwood, William Quigley. Let's see. Chris says if it wasn't for the heartless second period, they would have been in that position in the third. It was a little too late. Sadly, proud of this team for all they've accomplished, but that was bad. I mean, Chris, they're better, and maybe it's them that took the life out of them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to kind of tip your hat and say you're playing a better team. And as fans, we all have to sometimes be the bigger fans, right? And look at it objectively and say, hey, our team's pretty awesome to make it all the way here, and that team is just better. And when Denver's out playing the Heat, you just got to tip your hat to Denver and say, these guys are amazing. And I don't know what the hell got into Aaron Gordon tonight, but give him credit, that kind of shit. And sometimes we just have to not so much blame our team and get all frustrated, but sometimes we do have to give the other team credit and say the reason why your team didn't play well is because that team is better. And early in this series, the Panthers came out trying to be the tough guys and trying to send the physical message, and that shit blew up in their faces. Okay? Because Kachuk ends up broken, and Radko Gudas got his world effing rocked. And so they tried to punch, and they were counter-punching, and they had combinations and all that. So they answered the call on the ice, playing the game. They answered the call on the physical part of it, and they answered the call mentally throughout the whole thing. Sometimes we just have to say, it sucks, but they're just better. And no matter what our guys try to do, they're going to need miracles of all miracles in order to pull this thing off, because it's already a miracle that they're in the finals. So they're awesome, man. They had a great year. Kachuk had a shot there at the end, again, inches from OT. Yeah, he's as special as it gets, man. And that's the other thing. You just got Kachuk. Now you're going to have a whole off season. You're going to have a whole year with him now going into the second year. I just think things are just going to get better and better and better. And now and you know what? That's the other thing about this. Folks, some of you weren't real hockey fans. Some of you might have been casual. Some of you, maybe you don't really give a shit whatsoever. Well, maybe now they got your attention. Maybe some of you now are on the bandwagon. So good for the Panthers. Now they'll have more buzz going into next season right from the get-go, because we all know they do have the talent. They just got to tweak the roster, get it a little better. That's the other thing. So Kachuk and everybody else brought some buzz to this town. And now people are going, okay, hey, can we make the playoffs for 5 years in a row? That's a hell of an accomplishment. Now you're actually doing what Pat Riley did years ago when he first got here and made the playoffs right that first year, that he was dead set on making the playoffs. And from there, he started the winning. And that's what the Panthers are doing. So it's also exciting in that sense. There's a lot of reasons why we should actually be incredibly grateful for what's going on with the Panthers, in the frustrations of the reality that this series is probably over. But this run is not. This team is not. You got a superstar. You got a pretty damn good coach. You got an excellent GM. Holy shit, Bill Zito. And then you've got a great owners in Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu. So, just macro. I always tell you, right? When we talk about investments, don't panic in the micro. Look at the macro and see what's going on, and look at the big picture. Okay? Big picture, this thing's headed in a beautiful direction. Let's see. Didn't like the week off, screwed up. Nah, that's no excuse, dude. Denver had a week off, right? Denver was off for a bunch of days, and they're winning 3-1. So I don't. You can be sharp. It's up to you, man. You got to be professional, and that's an excuse. How about they're not good enough? You make an excuse. I'll call it like it. That's the difference between me and most of you out there. You think with your heart. You don't think with your head. Of course, there are outliers. Stuff happens that's wacky in sports. The thing that's unthinkable sometimes happens. They're rarities, like getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. But to make an excuse to think that the time off helped you or hurt you or whatever, that's a bunch of crap, man. That's all a bunch of crap. They're not good enough. That's all. No excuses. They're not better than Vegas. And how many times are you going to roll that dice? You weren't better than all of your opponents in the Eastern Conference. And you spun that wheel on the chamber of your 6-shooter, right? And you went Russian roulette. Clack, clack, clack. Well, the fourth one, there's only a couple chambers left. Guess what's happening? Boom. You want too much already. You want 4 miracles now. And that's because you really don't understand that your team is not better than them. So why should you have the attitude and demand like, oh, yeah, time off. Yeah, that's what hell. That was the difference. No, you're not good enough. And that's where you got to be, got to stop making excuses. Oh, no excuses. You beat Boston, beat Toronto and Carolina, no excuses. I understand the Heat have no business, but the Panthers have, they have plenty of excuses. They sucked all year, bro. They needed help from another team in order to get into the playoffs, Steven. They didn't earn their way in. They kind of backed their way in. No, man. They barely deserve to get into the playoffs. They need, bro, Steven, they needed a 4th-string goaltender who's a journeyman. Think about that. They needed a 4th-string goaltender, a journeyman, to get on a role that he's never been on in his life. Okay? That dude is going to be changing your tires next year somewhere. And they got into the playoffs. Come on, man. And they're not entitled to shit, dude. They're not that good. Not like those teams. They got some players to build on, but they're not ready for a champ. Vegas has been doing this for 4 years now. Since their expansion, they've been going deep into the playoffs. This is the second time they're in the Stanley Cup. You're not playing some schmuck team. You're playing a team that is constantly in the playoffs. They have turned themselves immediately since they came into the league into one of the more elite teams in the league. I'm not sure if you know that, but Vegas they're badass, dude. What they've done from expansion on is, mad props, dude. Mad props. The similarities between the Cats and the Heat are crazy. Both 8 seeds, tough and resilient, down 1-3 in the finals to a team looking for their first chip out west. Top dogs playing hurt. Exactly. Welp, next year's the year then. They'll have a better chance next year. Add a couple more pieces. Get a better defense in front because your goaltender's not going to be great. Hemi probably has 2 years left as a 1-star. Maybe. It would be nice to beat them on Monday and ruin their party. Let's hope so. The Everblades, yes, the Everblades did win back-to-back titles. Oh, if the Panthers come to play in one game at a time, it's possible for a comeback. The Heat, they need a miracle, which at this point, who knows? La suerte es loca y cualquiera le toca. Proud regardless. I agree. Razzle Dazzle Crypto. Buying that dip. Let's see what else. Got me some polka dot today. Really, God, actually, because I am not wavering. That's all. I am not wavering 1 inch. It's amazing how the alts took a bath, and Bitcoin and Ethereum have been still pretty damn strong. Will the Panthers make some moves? Yes, they will make some moves. They get some money. They get some relief this offseason. Okay. Dane and Beal. No, I don't want Beal. I want Dane. You're not going to get both, but one. I know you're saying Dane or Beal. I want Dane. I don't want Beal. Beal doesn't have dog in him. I haven't seen it ever in Washington. I've seen a guy that's been a good player on a shitty team for a long time. Dane Lillard, I've seen him in big moments. I've seen him make it to the playoffs several times, even make some runs. Dane Lillard is a badass. That's who I'm trading for. Jimmy needs a mother effer next to him. I'm not exactly sure, Bradley. When you're telling me you're happy to be in Washington, you're a loser, bro. Marcellus Temple. Thank you, sir. Ricky says, Big O, don't worry about the Florida Panthers are going to come back and win this series. They did it against Boston. We can still do it. It sounds, it sounds fantastic. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
I'm with you. Let's see. This is a hard pill to swallow, but hearing you speak is refreshing, Big O. Thank you, Chris Z. It's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It sucks for the moment, but I think the future is incredibly bright for the Panthers. I love what I'm seeing, and I love to see what they're building. And finally, we have a good franchise now. Since the expansion years where they got lucky early on and they made that run because Beezer played like Bob wishes he could, and just, carried that team all the way. Like Beezer could not allow more than 2 goals. It was like, oh, shit, because these guys couldn't score at all. Like, at least these Panthers have some scorers where those Panthers could not score, dude. Like, you had to play enormous defense, and the goalie had to be nearly perfect, and Beezer was nearly perfect until you got to Colorado. And you got to it gets to a point where you're playing with fire all the time, and then you get to a point where you just can't keep beating the bully. It's great to be the underdog, but the underdog only lasts so long. Eventually, they pound your ass into the ground because they're bigger, stronger, and better. Big O, Panthers desperately need a top 2 center to support Barkov. Yeah. And they need better defense, too. They still need another couple of defenders on that team. The Stahl brothers are, come on, bro. Got to do better. Willie is in the house in Colombia. Big O, I know the Florida Panthers ain't there, but I'm so high listening to Siberian Nights. Siberian Nights. Oh. There you go. It's because our logo's so damn ugly. Go back. No, are you talking about the Dolphin logo? Okay. All right. There you go. I know you're not talking about the Panther logo. The Panther logo is actually this logo is awesome, but the new logo is terrific too. They did a great job. The Dolphin logo sucks. That Dolphin logo it's terrible. By the way, please smash the hell out of the like button. And don't forget, if your business wants to be a part of our platform and sponsor some of our segments, some of our insiders, maybe Hockey Insider, 786-754-4664. That's 786-754-4664. Give our business line a ring. And of course, you can always make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. What else happened today? Just to kind of give you locally, I told you Inter Miami lost to New England 3-2. And in baseball, your Miami Marlins, they lost yesterday to the White Sox after, getting on that roll. Today, they bounced back and they beat the White Sox 5-1. So good job there by the boys overall. It was nice to see that they're actually playing well. And Arrays is hitting .402, just in case you're following that. He's 2 of 4 and hitting .402. So nice job. Sandy pitched well today, went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 Ks. So nice to see 57 strikes and 86 pitches. It's good to see. Now, he didn't get the win. Ockert got the win in relief. So there you go. But, hey, the good thing is Sandy had a good outing. The Marlins are actually having a good year so far with a crappy Sandy, which is pretty amazing. Sunday, they will wrap up the series with the White Sox. All right. It'll be a 2:10 first pitch against the White Sox. Braxton Garrett and Lucas Giolito toeing the slab. Panthers, let's see. What do we got? Do you think Luongo could have carried this team? No, Luongo, no. What Luongo? Like the early Vancouver Luongo? Not the Panther Luongo. I am of a different opinion that like the Panther Luongo was solid, had some moments, but I can't tell you that the Bees are still the best goalie I've ever seen in a Panther uniform. That's not even up for debate. The Beezer would have won you this. Not Luongo. The Beezer would have won you this. Okay? You give me the Beezer from the Stanley Cup year, 96, right, I believe? Yeah. Yeah, get me that dude. Yeah. So I'm kind of I'm a little bit different when it comes to the judging of Luongo the Panther. It was solid, but not as special as some people make it out to be in that organization or people around it or anything like that. So that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. But Beezer, yeah, I never saw Luongo in a Panther uniform play like Beezer. So that's the way I would look at it, my man. Chances we get Dalvin Cook. Well, I've already there's some videos out there. I already talked about it. I think there's actually a good chance because I don't think he's going to get money. Okay. Saquon Barkley. Does he get his money? No, they wanted to give it to Daniel Jones instead. Austin Eckler. Is he getting his money? Nah, they just gave him some more incentives. He hung in there so he can be a free agent next year. But nobody would trade for him, nothing. Derrick Henry. Shit, you would think that if I'm a team that's really, really close and I'm going, yeah, I just need a monster back that I think will make the difference. Why did anybody make a move for Derrick Henry? Running backs. Ezekiel. Oh, hey, thanks, bro. See you later. Get out of here. We're moving on with Tony Pollard. Oh, Cook, now we have Madison. We're good, bro. Yeah, you did great for us. Appreciate it. The most interchangeable position in all of pro sports is the running back. That's the position that there is no respect for it anymore. Too many of you grew up with bell cows, and too many of you put the importance of a back like it's the end of the world, and coaches just don't. And some of you need to realize that you have not changed with the times. There are no bell cows anymore. There are carousels now. There are running back cores now. They don't want to give one guy all the carries. It's too much of an injury-prone position with the salary cap. So they have driven down the price now of the running back. So unless you are an absolute and total freak, it's not going to happen. There's a guy that's torn an ACL, played with a bum shoulder for the last couple of years, has missed, I think, a total of 24 games throughout his career. Like, I think it's an average of 2 per game per year, something like that. So he at least 2 per game. So he's missed his share of games too. He's had injuries, and that scares the crap out of teams. So I don't think people are going to be lined up to give him $8-10 million like he was going to make with Minnesota. I think somebody may give him 6 or 7, and then he'll say, damn, I can make 3.5, 4.5 in Miami, get some incentives. And one of the things I talked about is if I'm Dalvin Cook, I wouldn't tie myself to individual incentives. A-Chain's going to run the ball, Mostert, Wilson, and Cook. Do you think Cook's going to get the same amount of carries? No. Do you think Cook's going to get the same amount of stats? No. Do you think Cook's going to get the same amount of touchdowns he did in Minnesota? No, because they're not going to use him like that. He's going to be part of a carousel of backs. So he might top out at 14, 15 in a game, but everybody else is going to get 5, 7, 8, 9. And if somebody's hot like Mostert or something, then he's going to have to take a seat back. And so he has to know. So why are you going to pay frontline money for a guy you're not going to use as a frontline player? Again, the economics, some of you don't understand. You want to play this freaking fantasy game, right? And this is fan bullshit that comes out now from some of you because you don't understand football. You don't understand the economics of football. So you just want to go out and sign a big check. And you don't realize that all over the league, nobody signs running backs anymore to big contracts. They told Aaron Jones this year he was set to make like 16 or 17. Hey, that's great. Listen, if you don't take a pay cut, we're going to cut you. And they cut him down to like 12 or 13, right? So he lost like $3-4 million because if they cut him, he won't get 13. He'll get 8. The running back, and they only pay him because it's their guy. The running back position is no longer valued in the NFL. The way they look at it is, I'll get 2 to 3 guys, I'll rotate them, and that's how I'll keep them fresh. And at the same time, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. So when the guy gets injured, then I'm looking around going, what do I have now? Oh, some untested rookie, some old-ass veteran sitting there. Can't do that. It's not going to happen. Plus, they drafted A-Chain. So you have to understand the business. They will. I told you for months, right? I told you they wouldn't trade, right? All these idiots stopped talking about trades. And I told you for months they would never trade for him. For months, I told you they would never trade for him. For months, I told you they're not going to pay a high salary. And you idiots out there and these idiot medium people, because they just got to fill freaking space and time on TV. And, oh, no, the Dolphins will trade for him. And then, no, they won't. Look at the track record of Chris Grier. Chris Grier, it probably pained him to even draft A-Chain in the 3rd round. But he didn't have any picks. It's not like he had a 4th and a 5th to wait or anything. No, he had to take him there because that's what the coach wanted. Coach wanted A-Chain badly. And you bring in Cook, that starts to stunt the growth of other people. So it's not as easy as some of you make it out to be. That's all I got to say. Okay? So that's why the Cook thing can happen. And I think it will actually. I just get a feeling he's going to settle for a $3.5 million deal. I don't know. Maybe they can get him up to 5 or something. I doubt it. But and then they'll have it. And like I was about to say, don't tie it to individual incentives because you're tied with 3 other backs in your backfield. You're injury prone. Okay, so do it to team incentives. A bonus if they make it to the playoffs, a bonus if they make it to the AFC Championship game, and a bonus if they win the Super Bowl. And that way you can pick up extra money along the way with team incentives. That way you're motivated the entire time to contribute, and your stats aren't necessarily you're gonna cause problems or complain because you're not getting enough touches and you're not going to get to your individual stats because most guys will not get to big individual stats when you're sharing the ball with 3 other guys. And if you think they drafted A-Chain to sit him down, you're mistaken, dude. Okay? That kid's going to play. I watched him this week in minicamp. He's built for the NFL already. He has a body for the NFL. He's got the athleticism and speed. Now we're going to see if mentally, because like Ezukama had it all, but mentally he was behind. Apparently now he's made a lot of strides in understanding the offense, which is huge for him. So that's the only thing. That's the last thing we see. But he reminds me of Kader Kohu, and has nothing to do with the players and the position. What I mean by with Kader is the second you met Kader and saw him, you said, holy shit, this kid's from Division II and has a body like an NFL corner already, and he is mature beyond his years. And then when you look at A-Chain and you see a really smart kid, and then he's built like an NFL running back already. So now we've got to see, does he grasp the system? That's the only thing that's left. So that's what I'll tell you about the Cook thing. Okay? Nothing is wrong with our running back room. If Cook wants to come to Miami and win a bowl, take a pinch of a 2-year, he is a dog, would help the Fins. He's instant number 1. Yeah, but there is no number 1. He'll be sharing. He might end up getting 15, another guy get 12, another guy get 7. But again, leave the early 2000s, the 90s, and the 80s behind. Come forward with us. Come forward to this NFL now and the way they do things. Also, let's see, what else do we have? Shula rotated, kick Zonka. Yeah, right. Kick Zonka Morris. Same thing. Right. Nothing wrong with that, dude. And if it worked for Shula, it can work for anybody. They rotate also in Kansas City. Pacheco had like 700-800 yards. They have a couple of guys that they use. Walter, do you follow football? Because it's Andy Reid we're talking about. You know that Andy Reid, like, that's like what he does, dude. He rotates backs like crazy. That's kind of the way it is nowadays with him. They're not really going to sell out to one guy because it just doesn't make any sense. So I think it's a disease everywhere in the NFL. Okay, not a bad one, because I think it's actually good when you have multiple backs and you're not relying on one guy to be the bell cow 25 times and all that, and then you end up, when the guy gets injured, you're in a position like, yo, what the hell am I going to do now? It's really tough. I'm gonna pull it up here. Let's see. Rushing, Pacheco 830. Mahomes had 358. Hilaire had 300. McKinnon had 300. You see? So you're going to have a guy that's going to have the majority, but you're going to have other guys that are going to share carries. So they had 3 guys. Well, Mahomes was 61, but the other 2 guys were over 70 carries, and then Pacheco had 170. 17 games played, by the way. Edwards-Helaire had the injury. He only played 10, which would have cut into it if he would have stayed healthy. too at the same time. So they rotate backs, bro. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if Hilaire is gonna. I don't know if was he cut or is he still on that team, or I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making and adding somebody else on that roster because Hilaire has been a sack of injuries too. A-Chain will be an absolute weapon. Oh, I got to tell you, for those of you that love the Dolphins, I'm Cameron Good, by the way, the linebacker they got from Cal. I don't go too crazy about linemen and linebackers and all that because there wasn't full pads, but I like what I saw from Cameron Good. He looked comfortable out there doing his assignments. A-Chain looked really good. Out of some of these guys that I saw in camp, I thought Skyler looked better than Mike White, to be quite honest. Chosen ran really well, caught balls, got separation. Who else that, names that we don't necessarily try to think of some of the other guys that I saw that I like. Didn't see anything from Tyndall that stood out to me like with Cameron Good. Oh, the UM linebacker. Damn it, what's his name? Ungale or whatever. I forgot his name now. Olave or something. Some crap. Or Olave's the receiver in New Orleans, right? I forgot the kid's name. I think somebody will come up with it. He was kid from UCLA that transferred to Miami for 1 year last year. That guy. Somebody will post it there and help me out. Mitchell Agude. That's it. Thank you, David P. He also was looking good. Cameron Good. Okay. So those are some of the young guys that I saw that that corner. Oh man. There's a corner I saw. Another guy that like, who the hell is this guy? And he did all right also. Oh man, let me see. I'm brain farting now. I am not in prime time season off mode here at this point in time. That's it. Bryce Thompson. Very good. David P., you're on your game today, bro. Thank you. Bryce Thompson is the kid. I kept looking through the roster. That's him. That's the other guy that kind of stood out. Those are like the lost names that that you're wondering, okay, these are guys that came in from last year. Okay, but what do you see? That kind of stuff. Those are some of the guys that have really stood out. And with Bryce, they find a DB. Okay, whether it's Nick Needham, Trill was turning the corner last year. He was looking good in camp before he got injured, and then you find Cater Kohu. You know what I'm saying? So and who knows? Maybe there's something there in Vernon McKinley, the third. I don't know. We'll see. But Bryce was another one of those guys. You're like, who the hell is this guy? And you're like, okay, let's make a note. All right, let's see if any of this translates when we get to the pads and training camp and then all the big boys are playing and you're really getting tested and all that. But it was nice to see some of those guys. Cam Smith, I didn't see anything that wowed me, but what I did like about Cam Smith is that he looks the part. That I'll tell you. Physically, athletically, he moves well, but I didn't see anything earth-shattering. I didn't see him, he was getting toasted, and I didn't see him also snatching the ball from people or anything like that. So, but way early. Let's see. A little time. But some of those other guys that might have gone under the radar, especially like a Cameron Good, just to kind of give you a little insight, those are some of the guys that might have stood out a little bit. So burnout A-Chain under his rookie contract. You aren't giving him the next deal. Is that your plan? I'm stuck in the past, bro. We have a 2-year window and Cook is a weapon, 4 straight. Whatever, bro. You that has nothing to do with it, man. They were fine. Their running backs got over 4.5 yards a carry. I'm not sure if you know that, but their running backs were fine. And A-Chain is fine. They're not going to burn out one back. So you may have to come to the future. It's not what they do here, dude. And they're not going to sign these guys to multi-year deals and then draft A-Chain and then all of a sudden throw, the heavy responsibility on Cook. Doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. That's why they're also limited in funds, because they can only spend so much in that department. And that's why he's not going to make big money here, as I've said for several months now. I keep hearing Chosen looks really good, like a potential. I still think Berrios is the guy. I still think Berrios that's the ideal number 3. I think Chosen gives a breather like Cam Smith. I don't think Cam Smith is going to play inside. I think Cam Smith is going to play outside. So if X or Jalen need a rest, or somebody's bothering you in the middle of the field, a slot or a tight end, you might move Jalen inside. Okay, because that in Fangio's scheme, Jalen will be moved around, and sometimes he'll go inside. That's when Cam will come, and he'll become the outside guy, and then whoever's the nickel will drop out because Jalen becomes the nickel all of a sudden. You understand? So I think that's how it's going to be played. And Chosen, I think, is going to, if he makes the team, okay? He hasn't made the team yet. All right. If you look at their roster, he hasn't made that. That doesn't make any sense at this point in time, because you look at their depth chart and you look at their wide receivers, and look, I'll go over it. Watch. If you're going to keep 5, automatically Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson is on the team because of the salary and the salary cap hit. So you're stuck with him, right? And then you're going to get Braxton Berrios and probably either Eric Ezukama or River Craycraft as your 5. Then either one of those guys becomes your 6, and he's battling with Robbie Chosen to be the 6. Now, everything looks great for Chosen right now because he's getting all the reps. Waddle and Tyreek, especially Tyreek, they're not running all the time now. So everything's fine. What happens in the middle of training camp, first week of the preseason, Ezukama's really hot and they're running him more and Chosen doesn't get a lot of reps? How does he handle that? Or did you forget that he has a past? Because that's, so he has to face a little adversity, and I'm sure that he's going to face it in camp. How's he going to handle that? And these are the things that we have to wait for Robbie Anderson, now Chosen, to kind of cross. So it's not a sure thing that he makes it. He has to show some maturity and professionalism too along the way, because those are things that have stumped him from actually growing as a wide receiver. Nobody's ever questioned Robbie's ability. Robbie, it's other things that you question with Robbie. Rob Budd, you just say shit, and it's like, of course he can be on the team, but there's more to it than just talent. So we'll see. He has a great opportunity to be on the team and be the 4th, 5th wide receiver on the team, not the 3rd, because I think Braxton Berrios is the ideal slot receiver, not Robbie Chosen. So that's kind of the way I would look at it. Chosen's an outside guy, not an inside guy. I would use Berrios as my starter, as my number 3, because I think he's going to be I think Welker is going to mold that kid into being one hell of a nasty slot receiver that is going to drive teams crazy, because you're going to have to worry so much about the other two guys. It's going to open up the middle of the field for him. So I don't think you kind of understand what they're trying to do. So I think that Berrios, if healthy and everything well, he'll be your number 3 guy overall. That's what I think is going to happen. I agree, Big O. I'm not trying to overreact. I just like what I'm hearing. Actually had a convo with a Bills fan today who thinks nothing Finns have done make them better than the Bills or the Jets. That's fine. That's fine. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. So it's all good. All right, what else do we have going on? I think that's about it. I think we are done. Panthers are pretty much done. We'll do the final game, if that is the final game this week, and we'll talk about it. We'll be back on Monday. I'll be back. What is it? When's the Heat is Monday? Is it? Am I right? Is it Monday for the Heat? I think, right? They have 2 days off now from here on out. I hated the fact that they only had 1 day off between games 3 and 4 for Jimmy. That was not good. That wasn't something that was going to help him out. And he started off really well, but whatever he shot himself up with, that probably ran out. And he doesn't have any more. Monday, 8:30 is game 5. Could be the end of the series in Denver. Either way, we'll be on after that game, whether they win or lose. And we'll do the same with the Panthers. You all out there, be safe. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your family. We shall see you Monday morning at 10 a.m.
This is the Big O Show. This is the